Lil Yachty is still mad at older rappers. So Yachty recently stirred up a debate by calling the 1979 classic Rapper's Delight weak as hell during an appearance on the Bootleg Kev Show. Now, this latest comment is part of a long-running pattern of the Atlanta rapper offering provocative takes on hip-hop history and his predecessors. Shout out to Charles Brown. This is his opinion on Lil Yachty and his comments.
Yep. And shouts to Charles Brown with the Mud Kids right front and center there.
Yes, sir.
Shouts to Naptown. Shouts to Russ. Nasty Slim. Or Naptown Slim?
Based Rusty.
Yeah. Based rapping Caillou as Rusty Redenbacher.
Still with it.
Right.
I decided to go with the word twit in describing Lil Yachty. British English, and it's a silly or foolish person. Because if you look around at the things Lil Yachty has said and done over the past couple of years, and I'm not going to be too hard on the kid, Lil Yachty is desperately trying to, even though it doesn't matter, no one's still talking about him in regards to hip hop and using his name as some type of punching bag or this, that, and the third. He still desperately wants that conversation to be rehashed and to have his name taken from over here in the waste management trash can to be put over here with the real rappers. I don't know why. If you look at the freestyle with him reading off of that phone, which I'm not sure someone didn't write, but the fact that he even thought that he could read off a phone tells you he doesn't know anything about this culture.
That's more so about his freestyle, though.
No, but what Brown is saying is you may not be the messenger, the correct messenger to talk about people being whack when you look at yourself in the era that you're in and how you're being perceived.
That's the conversation. That's the conversation. But I think, too, that we need to include the clip of him actually saying this stuff. Which is right here.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, can you put it up to the mic?
If it was 2016 and I knew it was so much bull in the 90s, I'd be like, yo, y'all tripping. There was a lot of weak ass going on out there. I always think about the first song in hip hop, a hip, a hop, a hip, a Rapper's Delight, boom, hopping the boom, and I be thinking like, damn, bro, y'all be really acting like we was the only saying didn't make no sense.
You know what's crazy? There was the freestyle that he alluded to was like a couple days later on a LA radio station, and the freestyle was trash. People have been roasting the freestyle ever since, which goes back to the point about you're really not the messenger, sir, to talk about somebody being trash when you're in your own era. A lot of people look at you as trash. So that's neither here nor there. Thank you for the clip, by the way. But the question I would pose is, has the old school versus new school debate become a redundant loop, or is it a necessary conflict that forces each generation to define what quality and innovation actually mean?
It's not a redundant loop. It really is a situation where we have to have the conversation with younger, either hip hop artists or hip hop fans. And regardless of what you think, personally, it may not fit the aesthetic that you find to be appealing. If there was no Rapper Delight, first of all, you wouldn't be here.
That's fair.
So you have to, give respect where respect is due. And you got to understand there's been a certain level of evolution that has come from that, where I think as an older fan, sometimes I get, I'm disappointed is where I see either the music going backwards or staying too much the same. When I hear, if I hear something in 2026 that's not that much better than what came out in 1978, then
it's a problem.
That's a problem. Or in 1988, 88 is a golden time. That's when you had the Big Daddy Kanes, the Rakims. That's when Run DMC was still out here. You saw a huge growth in hip hop. EPMD hitting their stride. When they make their debut. If you're not doing it, if you're not doing better than that in 2026, unless you're paying some sort of homage to that particular kind of music, then I have a problem. The fact that some people are just so happy to, have their ABC 1, 2, 3 raps out there and saying, well, this is what people like, or this is the best I can do. I can't accept that from you, not because I have anything personally against you, but I have to say, look, if you're going to carry the torch for hip hop, you have to carry it forward as opposed to backward or just standing still because you think that's what works. I mean, like, there's a couple songs that, Yachty does that I find sort of catchy, but I'm never listening to him and saying, whoa, that was crazy what he said. And I think that's where he's frustrated because people don't respect him as a lyricist like that.
Well, be better.
Well, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like, you understand your limitations, perhaps. Maybe he doesn't understand his limitations.
I don't even think he cares, honestly.
Which goes to...
But at the same time, for him to say the things he says about Rapper's Delight, once again, you wouldn't be here without Rapper's Delight.
Like, have you listened to your own music?
Yeah, like
That's the part.
Before you say anything about anything else that somebody else did 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you have to listen to what you are doing right now. And the thing is, you can still get into a certain situation where you can put on Rapper's Delight and people will still enjoy it. Like, there's not a lot of Lil Yachty records that have maintained their relevance or people even enjoying them. Here it is, 10 years later after you hit the scene.
This is the problem. This is somebody that made a song talking about taking a walk to Poland.
Yeah.
And we're that critical of Rapper's Delight, which came out in the 70s, actually. He talked about the 80s and 90s and wanted to call out stuff that ain't shit. Okay. Lo and behold, that's cool. But these are foundations. These are building blocks that made it to where you're able to create right now. This is like somebody being mad, an R&B artist talking about hidey, 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 hi.
Yeah.
He ain't saying nothing in that song either, but it was a creating block to make R&B evolve into what it is.
R&B, jazz, whatever. You know
what I'm saying? It's not something that I'm going to demand just because music has evolved into something else. That's just not where I'm coming from as far as conversation is concerned. I think that's the problem with a lot of the artists that want to call out people from their previous generations because they don't like what they're doing. They want to try to, you know what I'm saying, make whatever came before them lower or lesser. You're supposed to be better than that. You know what I'm saying? If I laid a foundation, you're not supposed to be building a mud hut anymore. You're supposed to be building something that's built out of brick. Yeah. And if you don't take that knowledge and that understanding and know how to apply it correctly, then you're going to feel slighted because you're not making the strides that you want to make. Obviously, you're making a lot more money than the people that created the structure for you, but you're not regarded as such because you're not making quality music that will reserve where we're at now. And then you followed it up with a shitty freestyle, which doesn't help your case. And it's crazy because on the show we were critical of Lil Yachty at first. We've heard some things that he's done that were good. Well, okay, he's got a little something in him. We also heard that he had never listened to Tupac and Biggie.
Gave him the benefit.
Gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then you followed up with this. It's like, you can't keep getting passes for being ignorant to what's going on in a genre that you want to flourish in.
Because I guarantee you, if there were say there was a young rock group and they would say, man, listen to the Rolling Stones. This shit sucks. I guarantee you they wouldn't be given a pass.
No.
They wouldn't be given a pass. They said, man, that Nirvana shit, it was cool, but you know what I'm saying?
That shit's still hard to me.
Exactly. But just imagine if somebody who was trying to put out a record in 2026 would say something crazy about Nirvana or like I said, or go back to the Rolling Stones, or whoever, we wouldn't be, when I listened to the interview, the people sitting up there laughing about it. I was like, y'all are just as bad as Yachty for sitting up there laughing at it.
To some extent, okay. Let me play the white devil's advocate.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
To some extent, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
From the perspective of, like, let's just put it on the table. From the perspective of, was this the most amazing record of all time and all these things? No, it wasn't. It was a fun party record. It was a loop. It was a loop. It was, to be honest, I think they're actually rapping on beat better than anything I've ever heard Yachty ever do. Just keep that a buck. But, like, it's just a fun party record. There's interesting story around it, but it was the first big commercial record that introduced and paved the way. It paved the way. You know what I mean? Like, and but yeah, sure. It's all those things that they're laughing about. Yeah, there's some truth to it, but that's not not really the point.
No. That's not the meat and potatoes of the conversation.
Exactly. That's what, So sure, I guess from one perspective, yeah, I guess you can joke about that stuff to some point, but it goes back to Mike's piece. Like, you know, if you're gonna have that staunch type of like stance on something like this, then you know you kind of have to like, especially if you're like within the same realm of making music in this similar type of way of like popular-esque type music, just catchy music, things of that nature. Like you're doing the same type of stuff, but from a technical standpoint, like some of the stuff he's doing from a technical standpoint is still not even as good from a 1979 record called Rapper's Delight. Like, you know, like he's not even rapping better than the Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
Like
that part.
From a technical
Like you
standpoint.
said, at least the Sugar Hill Gang were on beat.
That's what I mean. So, you know, like in the phrasing and everything that they were doing. So, I mean, from one perspective, it's just like, are you, it's kind of silly, you know, it's just kind of a silly thing. I don't know. To answer your question, Mike, I don't think he's the right messenger for it.
That's where I'm with it.
But I also think that, you know,
the right messenger isn't going to critique it like that, though.
Exactly. I think that's another piece, you know, like, these conversations I think are important to have, though. I do think it's important to have conversations like this to put this stuff in perspective, because we can agree with Yachty just like the same time when Melly Mel was coming out, and we could talk about Melly Mel rapping now like he was rapping back then. You know, it's like, sure, some of the stuff was a little bit comical when we saw.
But it's evolved.
When we saw
it's evolved.
When we saw Hannibal Buress, you know, do his thing like the hip and hop and the put, like it's funny because to some extent, but like there's context involved.
I just think him being he put his foot in his mouth with the freestyle that came afterwards, and it just highlights the fact that you're not that person. You're not that person, and you've been tone deaf to, you know, history and your predecessors by the comments that you've made in the past, and we're still talking about this.
Yeah. The problem is
insecurity. Like, are you not getting the love from your peers? Like, what are we doing here? Because this has become somewhat of a theme to be associated with Yachty. Go ahead, bro.
He's monetarily successful.
Okay,
you can't take anything away from his bank account. His bank account is a lot larger than a lot of his predecessors.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. When people get money, they feel like sticking their chest out. Just because you have money does not make you real. It does not make you better than anybody that came before you.
It doesn't make you an expert on it.
Exactly. They laid a path for you. You're on a path of a lot better, you know what I'm saying, opportunity than they were on. And they laid the foundation. So for you to do that, to me, is a smack in the face of one of your, you know what I'm saying, your founding members of something that you're participating in. And granted, the lyrics weren't all that. I mean, ain't nobody writing a Rapper's Delight 2026.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as the time was concerned, even if you listen to other music that came out around that same time,
it was, look, be clear, it was mind blowing at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was, this is the one of one. Like, Yachty, you're in an era now where technology is crazy. You've had all the access to everything that you could possibly do to be a rapper, and you're still at the level that you're at. These guys were founding fathers. They didn't know what they were doing. A lot of those records that they did early on was just to get the party hype. It wasn't conceptual. It wasn't deep. It wasn't about the bars. It was about, yo, we about to turn up and this party's about to be lit. So
we're going to say some Mother Goose rhymes that's going to go together.
And everybody going to have a good time.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm looking at a person that has access to everything. When you fast forward evolution, and you still sound the way you sound, those are the type of things I'm trying to talk about. Like, fam, what happened?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm hating. I'm old. Maybe I'm hating.
No, I mean, it's just that, like, you know, if you play me something like when I was a certain age, like I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but it's not mine, even though it's hip hop. You know, I remember, you know, my dad had, you know, the Rapper's Delight record. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't my record,
right? Like that,
you know. So I mean, it came out a year after I was born,
right?
So I had an appreciation for it. I had appreciation for the message, you know, because that was the first like kind of street political record. Mm. But you know, once I was deep into what I consider to be a hip hop fan, like LL Cool J was so much more than, you know, what I heard on Rapper's Delight. So it was sometimes it's hard for you to go back
But it never made you come to the point where, oh, that shit was trash.
No,
You know
because
what
I
I'm
understood there was a level of, okay, that was for that time, but you know, when I hear I'm bad, okay, this is mine.
Somebody eventually is gonna say, I was listening to LL Cool J, I'm bad, and he was trying to be tough. That shit's whack. Somebody's gonna eventually
I guarantee
say
there's gonna be somebody who hears there's gonna be somebody who hears Kendrick Lamar in 20 years. They're gonna be like, man, what the hell was he doing?
They're gonna say the same thing Drake was saying.
Yeah.
Turn your TV off. Turn your TV off.
Yeah.
he rapping trying to get the slaves free.
Yeah. There's just gonna
That type dumb shit.
I think another important piece about Rapper's Delight is that it was a disco record. It was like a
It
disco.
definitely was
it
a
was
disco record.
It was a disco rap record.
First of all, it was good. They were just rapping over a loop of Good Times by Chic.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like
like-
let's not act like this was what we would consider to be, but at the same time, when the rap that was done in the park was what might have been jazz, rock. They was rapping over disco records. In fact, the whole idea of a rap record was brand new when this came out, because rap was strictly on tapes. It was what you passed around of what was recorded at parties. There was no rap industry before Rapper's Delight. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're going to get into hip hop so we can make records and sell them in the store. That wasn't even a thing before Rapper's
That's
Delight.
exactly that's the irony of this entire thing, is that Rapper's Delight is literally the fundamental piece
There we go.
of why Yachty has any success at all.
Facts.
Then after that, it
Because
was
he's not a talented, I don't want to say he's not a talented artist, but he's not like the top tier talented artist of his generation. He's just somebody who has made some stuff that's popped off.
But there's a level of I'm gonna be a snob here, but there's a level of accountability, and it goes to Terry's point about once you make a certain amount of money. People always say, well, they can't tell you shit once you make a certain amount of money.
Here I am.
But there's a level of accountability from a standpoint of me being able to openly say it, and not as a grown man now that we are now. I could have said this 15, 20 years ago. I couldn't name you Sugar Hill Gang's album and whatever the records were, or Melly Mel, whatever y'all want to talk about in the early phases of it. I couldn't name y'all the records. I don't know the albums. I can openly say that and still be able to say those are the founding fathers. I'm not about to disrespect them because I know that those circumstances are different from what we are now. Even in the 90s, I would have been able to say that. 2000s, I would have been able to say that. So it's the accountability part. It's the snob in you, where it's like, I think I'm better than I am. A lot of that comes out in this because you not that nice in real life.
You're the
you really not that nice.
Bourgeoisie, you know what I'm saying, type of person.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, we give Yachty a lot of rope.
Oh, we gave him some grace. We gave him a lot of grace. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
What was the other like most popular rap tune that
Cold Like Minnesota.
No, not from him.
I have a better
Long.
version of Cold Like Minnesota.
Yeah, I remember. But now the one that Kendrick actually sampled, where the girl is rapping, where she mentions Fab Five Freddy.
Oh, you're talking about Blondie.
Blondie, yeah. That was the first one I think that was commercially.
No, I mean, like, no, Rapper's Delight was a commercial record.
It was.
Yeah, it was very
right.
much a commercial record.
But I think that was number 2. That would have been the second.
The Message?
No, you're talking about like the Rapture.
Rapture.
The Rapture came out, and like there are people like, once again, when you put a white face on it, and this is no diss to Debbie Harry or her crew, but it was just like, oh, people were like, oh, rap music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't make sense until like they could put a white face on it.
Facts.
I mean, and once again, I've told people, you know, because people have tried to like say certain things from, or take some things from what I've said, and they're like, yeah, that's how I feel about the Beastie Boys. And I had to be like, hey, hold on. I wasn't talking about the Beastie Boys.
At all.
Beastie Boys actually owned their lane and didn't try to be something that they weren't.
No, I mean, and the thing is, like, I'd say the industry is at fault for some of the ways some people perceive the Beastie Boys, because when Ill Communication came out, Ill Communication came out, they would go ahead and put their records on alternative radio when that became really a thing. And it was like, well, wait a minute, this is I understand with Sabotage, okay, with all the guitar riffs in it. Even though that's exactly what they've been doing the whole time. But like when you would play the records that are clearly like, you know, intergalactic, that's a hip hop record.
Yeah.
And you would play that on the alternative radio station next to, Mudhoney or Alice in Chains, and I ain't Alice in Chains, but
Mudhoney,
Limp Bizkit.
No, I mean that's a little bit after. But I'm just saying they would put them in that category, and that's not what they were. Mm-hmm. And so that's the industry's fault that we have that perception, because they always were doing hip hop records.
It's similar to why, like, Tyler's argument against why am I always in the rap category because I'm black.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
I have to ask this because it's escaping my mind, but it's one of my favorite Beastie Boys joints when they're in the woods and they have.
So what you want? Yeah.
So what
that joint
want,
is crazy. That joint is crazy, bro. That's one of my favorite records from them, man.
I'm telling you, go back and listen. Ill Communications, one of my favorite records from the 90s.
But nah, Yachty's the wrong messenger, and he's, consistently just dives into this here and there and looks stupid when he says this. And
he still continues to get paid, so he's still going to keep saying it.
At the end of the day, he's still getting paid.
I take it back. Yeah, he gets paid, but it's just like,
he getting paid.
When's the last time we were like, oh yeah, Yachty's got
it? It ain't even about the music.
About Yachty has positioned himself to make money other ways. He has his own Nikes,
clothing line,
pizzas, and grocery stores, things of that nature. So, as far as his business acumen and whoever's leading him in the right direction,
top tier
to stay paid, he's set.
He had an Axe body spray or body wash or something. I said, man, his representation. Yachty, he was in a Target commercial. I said, they are doing a good job with this young man.
Yeah, Yachty is one of those guys where, you talk about the artists that I guess enjoy rap, but they got in. And once you get in, then you expand on your horizon. You use your popularity, and then you flip that and turn it to other ventures that you feel like you're talented in. I feel like he's that kid. I think when he talks about, his generation compared to older generations and how they get looked on or frowned upon, in my gut, in my heart, I don't think he really cares. I think it's more of a trolling situation where he brings it up every once in a while.
So.
I don't think he really cares.
It's not a trolling. He really feels like this.
You think he really cares?
It's not about caring. I'm saying this is what he really feels about the music that he's listened to prior to him coming out. It has nothing to do with trolling.
I got you.
This is his literal feeling. He doesn't feel like he needs to respect a genre that he's a part of. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not a trolling situation.
I'm not mad at that.
No, I think and this works against him is where he can listen to Rapper's Light by the Sugar Hill Gang and think, oh, they're not any better than I am. But I'm like, that was the first hip hop record ever. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't realize you're kind of putting yourself down if you're in your mindset. It was like, oh man, they're not that much better than me. Think about all the advantages and the technology you have to take, the time you can take to actually write records.
That's what I said.
And in your mindset, you be like, oh man, I could do this. It's like, well, yeah, you should be able to, but
because they showed you the way.
Yeah, they gave you a blueprint.
100%. I'm with you on that, Terry. I can rock with that.
Rappers Delight literally gave everybody a blueprint on how to rap. Okay, rap on beat, rhyme your words, do it like this.
Yeah.
And that's the basics of rap, though. It evolved.
But it's like the bottom level of what you need to do.
There's parts of it that are actually a full-on narrative as opposed to them just rapping.
Yeah, telling a story. Yeah.
Facts.
Casanova Fly.
And that was one of the first situations of a ghostwriter because old dude did not write that verse.
And he said, that's it. I got to leave this place. I don't care what these people think. I'm just sitting here with this ugly food that stinks.
Yeah.
They about to call you old as hell for that.
And food tastes like wood.
This chicken tastes like wood.
Yeah.
It was funny. It still is.
Yeah,
funny. I agree that some of it's funny, but
you still got to have a level of accountability there.
Yeah,
man.
That's all.
Some things you just leave alone.
Leave it alone, man. You're never gonna you're never gonna win this argument.
Like
you have to
respect who came before you.
Yeah.
Even like I had architectural classes that taught you about how old structures were made. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to demean the old structures.
Mm-hmm.
It was to say these are the structures that were made and they worked for the time that they were made.
That part.
Those structures evolved. Now we're able to do them on this level. Yeah. Now we're able to do them on this level. But you still have to go back and respect and understand what that structure meant.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?